Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Power Lounge. Please come have a seat. We're about to start our next conversation, and it's going to be a really powerful one. It is also a live podcast taping for one of my favorite podcasts, Pantsuit Politics. Seems very fitting in this place and on this day. The hosts are with us. They are Sarah Stewart Holland and Beth Silvers. And they'll be interviewing two very special guests. First of all, the president of Emerge, Ashanti F. Gholar. Can we hear it for Emerge, our partners on this incredible talk series? And joining them for this podcast is someone who knows Madam Vice President very well, and that will be one of the things I know we'll talk about in this session. She is the mayor of San Francisco, Mayor London Breed. Please, everybody, welcome our panelists.
Hello, everyone. It's so lovely to be here with you today. I'm already loving all the sea of white I'm seeing out there. Emerge is an organization very close to my heart. I graduated from Emerge, Kentucky in 2014, so delighted to be here. And listen, what they tell you and teach you in Emerge is to deal with all aspects of campaigns, but definitely attacks. And we know, and I know you know, Mayor, that what they're going to do with Vice President Harris is the same old San Francisco liberal shtick. What do you think that misses, besides everything? Specifically, what does that miss when they trot that out? What do people around the country not understand about San Francisco politics? Because we got some big players rolling out of San Francisco politics. Nancy Pelosi, Gavin Newsom, and now the Vice President. What are people missing?
Well, I think San Francisco politics is brutal. And when I say brutal, if you want to be an elected leader in San Francisco, you have to fight for it. You think this presidential race is a fight? No. Come to San Francisco and try to run for office. It's been described as having a knife fight in a phone booth. Do people still know what phone booths are?
Maybe a photo booth. There we go.
That's a good one, yes. But part of it is San Francisco has less than 1 million people. It is somewhat like a town, even though it's a major city, so you have more interactions with the public, and more importantly, everybody holds you accountable. Yeah. Everybody has something that they want you to fix, and they will make sure that, yes, we know you're on the national stage, but Mayor, fix my pothole tomorrow. Yeah. They don't mess around. And so it's a rough and tumble, but we have a lot of incredible stars that come out of San Francisco that go on to do extraordinary things. And I think because San Francisco is a bit of a political leader. And in fact, it's great to be here with Ashanti and to talk a little bit about Emerge, because Emerge, a program that trains Democratic women to run for office, was founded by 4 women in San Francisco because of our Vice President, Kamala Harris. And she went to Andrea Dusteel, one of the co-founders, and said, okay, I want to run for district attorney. What do I do? It was like, okay. And then they just came together. What do I do next? What about fundraising? How does this work? And that's how Emerge was born, because there were so many women that wanted to be in elected office, that wanted to help be a part of the change, but were too often told, well, maybe it's not your time, or maybe you should be on the PTA or a certain committee, and really focused on women being in one thing specifically. But as you can see, so many incredible women leaders have emerged out of San Francisco. Right. And this program is an important part of our city, but also the legacy of Kamala Harris.
Well, and I think something you said made so much sense to me. When it's a place where people's politics align, then yeah, everybody feels represented. It's not like you have people from the other party being like, well, that's not my candidate. And I think you see that in so many leaders like you and Vice President Harris, that then they feel like they do represent everybody. You get that everybody matters. I want everybody's perspective. And that makes so much sense to me.
And that's why your phrase, a knife fight and a phone booth, makes a lot of sense to me. You both have a ton of experience navigating, I love this phrase, it's a little negative, but that idea of the narcissism of small differences. Yeah. When you are in the same tent, it can get very, very intense. So talk to me about what you've learned yourselves about navigating that narcissism of small differences, and how you think the vice president is handling that in her campaign so far.
I mean, the vice president is a pro at handling this. This is something that we talk about in the training program. The mayor really hit it. It's that network of support. That is something that Emerge gives our alums. It's the recruitment, it's the training, it's the in-depth, but you don't do it alone. You're able to be in a room during the training with like-minded women. After the program, you have your Emerge Sisters. They call it the Emerge Sisterhood, and I love the fact that is something that the alums came up with. Like, we didn't create it just because they felt that connection. But knowing that it's about community, the people, and getting it done. I always say with Emerge, when we were updating the curriculum, it's important for me to have community-centered and driven candidates, because that is what it needs to be about when you're out there asking for their vote, but also when you are in elected office. The vice president has navigated it from that first race with DA to be able to become an AG, U.S. Senator, Vice President, now our next president. But I think the thing that really shows her connection to people is all of these different For Harris and Kamala coalitions groups that have popped up. The fact that you see the white dude saying, we're here for Harris, not just like we're supporting her, we're going to have her back.
Or my favorite, Hotties for Harris.
Hotties for Harris had a good party. I love seeing the Latino men. They're like, yes, it's our call. It's the fact that we know this moment is so much bigger than the small differences. And that is what everyone is navigating. And they know that the vice president sees it as well. That, yes, I'm the nominee. It's me and Coach Walls. But this is really so much bigger than us. This is about our country, our democracy, and who do we want to be for the next, frankly, 250 years. If you're into astrology, and I'm an astrology girl, you know we're about to enter Pluto in Aquarius. And honestly, this election is going to set the tone for our country for the next 250 years.
Wow. Now, listen, I'm just going to warn our audience. I cry easily. I cry a lot on our podcast. So I'm probably going to tear up when I start talking about that Emerge Sisterhood.
We were talking earlier about crying this week.
Y'all, they got me on the feed last night crying at the convention. It's just so it's normal for me. Don't be alarmed. Because talking about that sisterhood and Emerge was incredible, because it is such an intimidating process to run for office. There's so many things that maybe you know you have to do, but somebody's saying, no, you're going to sit here right now. We're going to go call somebody and ask them for money. We're going to sit right here today and call somebody and ask for money.
I hated that part.
Yeah, but so when somebody's at least sitting next to you telling you can do it, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, but I still hate it.
Fair. And I ran for city commission with a dear friend of mine who was running for mayor at the same time. We were in the same Emerge class. And it's not that you form this, it's not just that you form the support in the training, it's that it informs how you see running, your race, and the issues. The way that people inform your outlook. You know, Coach Walls with his daughter coming, oh, here it comes, about the gun violence and saying, I'm a hunter, but I had to see it differently. Where do you see that with Vice President Harris in this campaign around gun violence, about reproductive health? Where can you see in her policy positions that support that being informed by the experiences of those around her?
Well, I welcome the opportunity to talk about this because, sadly, the neighborhood I grew up in, gun violence was the reason why I got involved in public office in the first place. And in fact, growing up in public housing and growing up in a community where it was common for the people that you love to be killed by the people that you love. And Kamala Harris, during a time when she was DA, we had this really awful homicide that happened in a gym in front of a bunch of kids. And it was so devastating and so heartbreaking. And she immediately reached out to me and came to the gym and was determined to seek justice for what happened. And it was really difficult because she actually personally spent time talking to the kids, talking to their families, talking to everyone, trying to get some resolution, because the fact is we wanted a killer off our streets. And we needed our DA and the appropriate investigation by the police to happen. And when people are trying to criticize her record one way or another, whether she's not tough enough on crime or she's not soft enough on crime. And she wrote a book about it, Smart on Crime, because there's a big difference between someone who wreaks havoc on our community and who takes another person's life. Everyone in the community, as much as people were living in fear and afraid to say anything, they wanted justice. And they didn't want to be concerned about something else happening to somebody else. And Kamala was very aggressive about putting away murderers in our city. And at the same time, through her Back on Track program, recognizing that, there are people who deserve a second chance for various reasons and providing that opportunity. But she took a very strong stance against gun violence, standing with mothers who've lost their children to gun violence, and continuing to be an advocate for responsible gun policies, especially, because back then we weren't talking about gun violence in the schools. We were talking about gun violence on the streets in certain neighborhoods. And she was still at the forefront of helping us to combat those issues, meeting with some of the perpetrators of crime themselves. But then as things started to happen with things like Sandy Hook and others, then all of a sudden our children are having drills, gun drills in the schools, which I didn't have when I was a kid. Schools were the sanctuary. And now we're at that point and we can't be open about responsible gun policies in this city. The point is, Kamala Harris will be aggressive, and she will use her personal experience of not just going after people who have committed murder, but she will definitely go after the gun lobby and others who consistently say, we want no regulation. We want nothing to get in the way of our ability to protect our Second Amendment rights. And what about our children? What about protecting our children? And what about protecting fellow Americans in a lot of these mass shooting incidents that occur? There is no reason why someone needs to be walking around with an assault weapon anywhere in this country. And so I think she's going to be extremely aggressive. She's going to have many examples to point to. And just like she took on the big banks when she fought during the home loan crisis, she's going to do everything she can to push aggressively to take on the big gun lobby.
Well, I think what you named there too, the paradox of you feel that she, because of those experiences as a prosecutor in San Francisco, holds that whole spectrum of gun violence experience. I was a victim of a school shooting in 1997. It was a very early, it rocked our community because we didn't have that history. It was one of the very first ones. And when she speaks, I hear exactly what you're describing, this sense of like, I understand the grief that this radiates out everywhere. And I think that is so incredibly powerful.
I always admire when I listen to you, Mayor Breed, the clarity about the stakes. That's what I heard in that answer. And I think this convention has really had a tone of like, the stakes are clear, and so we don't have time for a lot. We have to be so focused. I would love to hear from both of you what you think she will prioritize in office. She's had a big portfolio as vice president. I get very angry because I don't think she gets enough credit for that giant portfolio of work.
Co-sign on that.
Many accomplishments she's had. But I would love to know, what can we learn from that big portfolio and the clarity of stakes that's being communicated this week?
Beth was on that beat years ago, y'all. We have the timestamps to prove it.
It's definitely everything that we have been seeing tonight, the different themes. Definitely freedom is a huge focus. The freedom for us to be able to live the lives that we want. Definitely continuing to be for the people, be it from gun violence to reproductive health to health care. But I think the biggest thing is we need to really talk about the fact that the Biden-Harris administration has been extremely successful. They guided us out of the pandemic. They have gotten us back on track. We have a strong economy. She has been a part of that. And they are trying to trash that legacy because they want to say she would not be a successful president. So what we're going to see is her continuing to implement those strong policies that they have done under the Biden-Harris administration, from HBCU investment, which has been huge, student loan debt. And for me, I really love what they have done with prescription drug costs. That is something that is so personal because my grandmother, retired, started worrying about money. What did she do? She did what most seniors do. She starts rationing her medicine. Rationed her medicine, had a silent stroke, developed dementia. If her insulin was $35, she would be here voting for Kamala Harris. So I think those are the things that we really, and I'm getting emotional.
I know, I see it and it's getting me. I'm going to have to look away for a minute.
So those are the things that she's really going to prioritize.
And can I say that has been the presence of the women in our lives that are no longer here at this convention, including Kamala's mom, Michelle Obama's mother, like the way that we feel them here, which is a good lead into what I want to ask next.
Well, my grandmother, Miss Brown, who raised me, I want to put her energy out there.
Do it.
She sadly developed dementia too, and it's, to think about their legacy and what they experienced in this country and how we as women are sitting here in this capacity helping to elect the next president of the United States. I mean, it is pretty incredible to think about what this means and how this will change what happens for the future for people with their medication and access to good health care and their reproductive freedom.
Yeah. So here's what I want to ask you. What would your grandmother say? What do you say when people go, I just don't know if America is ready? Take a deep breath because it makes me really angry. I have to be like,
I mean, they said they weren't ready for a Mayor Breed, and now look, they got a Mayor Breed, and she's one of the best damn mayors in this country. I absolutely love watching her work. They always say that they're not ready for us.
It's almost like it's an empty attack because they don't have anything substantive to say. It's weird.
I mean, we talk about this a lot at Emerge. We have so many firsts. We have all of these trailblazers, and we love celebrating them, but we have to say why. Why in 2024? Why in 2020? Why even in, 2010? But they are ready for them. We just need those good women who are putting their name on the ballot, because you can't vote for the good woman if her name isn't on the ballot. So the fact is, people are ready. They just need to see the good women stepping up, doing the work, and we have to give them those great candidates to vote for. I love every election cycle looking at just the performance of our alums. Great thing about being president, I still get to be a nerd and a political person and dive into the numbers. And I see our Emerge alums outperforming even people who are running statewide, who are supposed to be the ones bringing it home. It's always those mayors, it's the state ledge, it's the city council, school board. It's those people, but particularly those good women who are being elected and reelected that are boosting those people at the top. Yep. So they absolutely
100%.
Are ready. They were ready for her for vice president. They're going to be ready for her for president.
Yep.
And I would just say, if they're not ready, they better get ready.
That's right.
They better get ready, because here's the thing. It's interesting coming back here to Chicago, because I actually traveled here with Kamala to Springfield, Illinois, when Barack Obama in 2007 made his announcement. It was like 10-degree weather. We were freezing cold. And in my mind, I'll be very honest, I was like, I'm inspired by him, but I don't know if America's ready. I even said that. And when I got out there and I saw all those people, I saw the excitement and the energy, I was like, holy crap, they better get ready. Just like then and just like now, they better get ready. And here's the thing, she's ready. She is ready. I can't stand when they're talking about DEI.
Oh my God.
I'm like, has anybody ever asked about Trump's credentials? This woman, and I want you all know what she's done throughout her career and what qualifies her to be the leader of the free world here. And it's so offensive, but that means we have a responsibility, because we know what Kamala's going to do and the things that she cares about and her values. But the question is, what are we going to do? What's our role? To make those calls, to send those text messages, to have those hard conversations. We don't need to know her entire policy platform, but we can tell our own story. And the fact that the person who's her competition is her competition, it's so offensive.
Yep.
And if that doesn't get you fired up and ready to fight and ready to win, I don't know what will.
Yeah.
What's so amazing to me, though, is that she seems to have none of that "Is America ready" in her posture and presentation. This convention has been an explicit announcement. We are coming for the independents. We are coming for disaffected Republicans. Everybody is welcome in this coalition. I would love to know where you think that comes from. Have you seen that in her background before? And what you think it portends for her administration?
Yeah, I would say, the reason why I thought I could do it is because she did it. And so when she first ran for district attorney, she ran against a sitting incumbent and she took it on. And I don't know where that came from. But if you met her mom, Shamala, you would know where it came from. However, she had the courage, and people think that she got any of these positions easy. She was alone in many instances. I went up and down the state when she ran for attorney general, even when some Democrats were not entirely supportive. She fought for every vote. She fought to get into every church, every living room, every opportunity. And so when you look at what she does, she doesn't just complain about what someone didn't do. She just does the work. And her advice to me is similar to my grandmother's advice. My grandmother's like, I'm like, Mama, he hit me. She's like, well, you can't control what he does, but you can control how you react to it.
Right.
And so, just like Kamala says, when I'm like, Kamala, what did she say? Kamala's like, calm down. I'm ready to fight.
Yeah.
She's like, just be lovely, right? Be lovely and keep moving forward. It's not worth it. Just stay the course and stay focused on what you're trying to accomplish and rise above it. Rise above the circumstance. That is exactly what she has had to do under all challenging circumstances. And this is what you're seeing happen as a result of her candidacy. She's rising above, she's doing what she always does, and she's staying true to who she is as a person.
I heard an interview with Nancy Pelosi talking about how she didn't endorse Kamala in that first race. She was with the incumbent district attorney, and I was like, and she was like, respect, she won anyway. I was like, wow. And I think what's so special, and I sense this with you too, Mayor, is like, yeah, it's a knife fight, it's hard. And also, watch me still be joyful in this space. Watch me still enjoy every moment. And I think that's not just important for all of us supporting her. I think about what you just said. I knew I could do it because she did it. And all the women considering running for public office and thinking, I don't know, it seems hard, it seems tough. But then to see this woman at the top of the ticket having so much joy and fun running, what do you think that's going to do as far as inspiring the next Emerge graduates?
I love it. Just for me, I'm just having so much fun personally in this moment. The fact that people are seeing how fun politics can be, I'm like, this is my life. This is what I get to wake up and do every day at Emerge. Politics can be so much fun, but people don't think it is because they see that negative, nasty side. And when people talk to me, I tell them, that is part of their plan not to get us running. Yes. That is part of their plan not to get us engaged. The sexism, the misogyny, the racism, they want all of that because when we don't run, we still maintain the white male patriarchy that benefits them. And then they're at the table, they're controlling the policy, they get to make the decisions that have a positive impact on us and negative impact on make things good for them. But when we do have that seat at the table, things change, and that's what they don't like. So they try to do all of the things possible to keep us from having that impact. So seeing her have that fun, the joy, all of the different coalitions, this is what politics should be all the time. Yes. And I love that she's showing that.
Yes. And I love it. I love watching it too. I have my own race going on. I'm running for re-election. I got 4 guys running against me, and it's cool.
4 guys.
Look, I love the men. Don't be alarmed here. But it's interesting because they're saying everything that I've either done or am doing or plan to do, yet they get attention for it differently than I do. And it's so interesting to see that play itself out in politics. So what I have to do is exactly what my grandmother and Kamala said to do. Control what you do. Don't worry about what they're doing. Rise above it. Be lovely and live in your truth. Live in your truth and don't let anybody steal your joy. Because if you're in this world, if you're doing this work, you do it because, from my perspective, you really want to have a positive impact on people's lives. And I do because of how I grew up. I want to change communities that tend to be disadvantaged and go through a lot of challenges and neglect. And that's what we're doing in San Francisco. And I have people who are formerly incarcerated working for me. I have people who are in recovery working for me. People who I appointed in elected positions who have been on the other side of the tracks and have changed their lives and turned their lives around. And were it not for someone who understood what it was like to be in that world, you may not have really respected or appreciated giving someone like that an opportunity. That's what makes Kamala Harris so exciting, because she knows it. She knows intimately the world I grew up in and the neglect, and she gave it the kind of attention and support it needed. And that's what she's going to do as president. And I went up and down the state of California in rural places, in all kinds of places, sitting in living rooms of families who are asking for help and support, and she listened. And part of that listening was developed into policy, developed into change. This is why I'm so excited about what this moment means. It means opportunity. It means her taking all of us with her in her heart to the White House and making real change for this country.
These are such weird jobs because you have to be lovely and do the knife fight and listen to people and provide them that empathy, but also do all of the homework and know your stuff and be willing, as you are right now, Mayor, to talk about the structure of the council. Is this functioning correctly? It is a huge range. So as we wrap up, I would love to hear from both of you. What do you think is the essential trait? Like, what do you have to have in your soul to be a leader as a woman, and how do you see that in the vice president?
Authenticity. You have to be authentic. You have to be yourself, because when you're not, it absolutely shows through. And we see that in the vice president. And as I've been doing lots of interviews, people will say, what don't people know about the vice president that they should know? Like, what isn't out there? And I say, she is such a girl's girl. She is the ultimate girl's girl. Like, London is doing Emerge and a part of Emerge because the vice president recruited her to the program. I have other women who will say, yeah, I got married, and then I get this call from Kamala, who's on the campaign trail, congratulating me. Like, I'll get voicemails from the vice president because my silly self misses the calls. That's how it always goes.
You and Tim Walz.
Missing the call is the worst thing ever, but then you get the voicemail to play for people, which is kind of cool. And she'll just say, thank you for what you're doing. I see you, and I thank you. And to have a woman who is so damn busy, still seeing other people and what they're doing, that isn't fake. That is authenticity, and it is who she is, and it's who we deserve as a president.
Guys, please don't ask me how many times I've watched the Thanksgiving turkey video. It's a little embarrassing where she explains how to cook the Thanksgiving turkey, and she's giving the recipe, and you put it under the skin, and you just, every word you're like, oh, she's done this recipe a lot, and it sounds really, really good. It's amazing.
And I agree with Ashanti. It is being your authentic self and living in your truth. But I want to just correct the record. She didn't recruit me to do Emerge. She forced me to do Emerge. I didn't have a choice. And people, Kamala authentically she really is Mamala.
Well, I think she did the right thing.
You're going to do this program and that sort of thing. And what's interesting, you say that because it was just my birthday, and she came to San Francisco on my birthday. And so what's so fun, I didn't tell anybody. I'm keeping it under wraps, but someone told her clearly, and so she gave me one. She knows I love candles, and she created her own candle that she gave to me. It was so cool, but my point is, you're right about her being authentically her and reaching out to people, knowing their stories, giving those hugs, and being concerned about your life and what's going on with you. And again, that's going to come directly with her to the White House.
We're excited. Everyone's excited. Tonight's the night. We're going to hear from the Vice President herself. Thank you so much.
Thank you both for
joining
everything
us.
you do.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
What a
Give it
fun
up for Mayor
conversation.
Breed and Ashanti Gholar.
Yes, thank you.